Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the powerful ideas from James Clear's huge bestseller, Atomic Habits. We're going to break down the core concepts that have helped millions of people completely rethink how they improve themselves. Let's jump in. The whole idea of this book, Tiny Changes, Remarkable Results, it doesn't kick off with some big, complicated theory. Nope. It starts with a really personal story, a story of absolute disaster, actually, and the slow, step-by-step recovery that showed a fundamental truth about how real change actually happens. So picture this. It's the last day of his sophomore year of high school. A baseball bat slips out of a classmate's hands during a swing, and it flies right into author James Clear's face. He doesn't remember the impact at all, just the chaos that came right after. And the damage, it was devastating. It crushed his nose, caused multiple skull fractures, and shattered both of his eye sockets. Almost immediately, massive swelling started in his brain, which led to seizures. His body just started shutting down. He was struggling to do basic things like swallowing and even breathing. They had to airlift him to a larger hospital, and after a third seizure, doctors made the call to put him into a medically induced coma. His life was literally hanging by a thread. This terrifying experience and the very long, very slow recovery that followed, that became the foundation for his entire life's work. So this incredibly difficult journey back to health taught Clear a really profound lesson about the power of taking small, consistent steps. A lesson that's actually illustrated perfectly by the amazing turnaround of the British cycling team. You see, for almost a century, professional cycling in Great Britain it was kind of a joke. They'd only won a single Olympic gold medal since 1908. Their performance was so bad that one of the top bike makers in Europe actually refused to sell them gear because they were worried it would hurt their brand. But then, in 2003, everything changed. The new performance director, Dave Brailsford, brought in this philosophy he called the aggregation of marginal gains. The whole idea was to find just a 1% improvement in every single thing they did. And they went deep. Really deep. They looked at the obvious stuff, like redesigning bike seats and rubbing alcohol on tires for better grip. But they also looked at the totally unexpected, like hiring a surgeon to teach the team how to wash their hands properly to avoid getting sick, and even painting the inside of the team truck white, just so they could spot tiny bits of dust that might mess with the bike's performance. So what happened? Well, the results were just staggering. Only 5 years after Brailsford took over, at the 2008 Beijing Olympics, the team completely dominated. They won an unbelievable 60% of all the available gold medals in cycling. They went from being a laughingstock to an absolute powerhouse. And this is where the math just blows your mind and shows you the explosive power of this whole strategy. Look at this. If you get just 1% worse each day for a year, you basically end up at zero. But getting 1% better, you end up 37 times better. Think about that. The difference is absolutely massive. And that's what makes this whole idea so incredibly powerful. And this right here, this illustrates the core concept perfectly. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. It's just like how money multiplies with compound interest. The effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. On any one day, they don't seem to make much of a difference at all. But over months and years, the impact can be enormous. Okay, so if this power of compounding is so great, why do we fail so often to stick with good habits? Why do we give up when we don't see those results right away? Well, it's because our progress isn't linear. We expect it to be a straight line, but in reality, there's often this valley of disappointment. Clear calls it the plateau of latent potential. It's that super frustrating time where you feel like you're putting in all the work, but the results just haven't shown up yet. The key thing to remember is your effort isn't being wasted. It's just being stored. The book argues that one of the biggest reasons we fail is our obsession with goals instead of systems. So what's the difference? A goal is the result you want, right? Like winning a championship. A system, that's the process that leads to the results. It's what your team actually does at practice every single day. And focusing only on that finish line, well, it creates some pretty serious problems. First off, winners and losers often have the exact same goals. Every single Olympian wants a gold medal, so the goal itself isn't what separates them. Second, hitting a goal is just a temporary change. Think about it. If you clean a messy room but you keep your sloppy habits, it's just going to get messy again. You've only treated the symptom, not the actual cause. And finally, goals kind of restrict your happiness. They create this either-or situation where you only feel successful if you hit that one specific target. So this all leads to this really crucial, powerful reframe. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. It's your commitment to the process that truly determines your progress, not just your desire for the outcome.
But hold on, there's actually a layer that's even deeper than this. It goes beyond what you do and gets right to the core of who you believe you are. Clear lays out behavior change in 3 layers, kind of like an onion. The outer layer is your outcomes. That's what you get. The middle layer is your processes. That's what you do. But the deepest layer, the core, is your identity. That's what you believe about yourself. And the most effective way to change your habits for good is to start from the inside and work your way out. And here you can really see the massive difference in approach. An outcome-based goal is something like, I want to read a book. It's external. But an identity-based goal is, I want to become a reader. See how that focus shifts inward? The goal is no longer just to read a book, but to become the type of person who reads books. All right, so let's tie this all together and see how this actually builds a real blueprint for making lasting change in your own life. So what's the secret to results that actually stick? It's really these 3 core mental shifts. First, just focus on getting 1% better every day. Second, build systems you can actually rely on instead of just chasing goals. And maybe most important of all, start with your identity. The real goal isn't just to do something, it's to become someone. And ultimately, the book leaves us with this one really powerful question. Because true, lasting behavior change isn't about some single grand gesture. It's about the buildup of thousands of tiny little decisions. Every single action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to be. So the real question is, who are you casting your votes for today?